Welcome to the High Ground Podcast. I'm CBW.
And I'm Callum.
Okay, because we're still in lockdown, we're going to do another franchise wars. So today,
Yeah.
you want to introduce it? Today's one?
Yeah, so this is one we had an idea about a while ago. I think I sort of dropped it, didn't I, didn't even seriously think about it, and then we were like, oh, this is quite good, actually. So we're going to do Ghostbusters 2 versus the 2016 Ghostbusters, the all-female one.
Or Answer the Call. I was like, do we call it Ghost?
Oh, Answer the Call, yeah.
Answer the Call. Because it's kind of funny. It's on the posters. It says Ghostbusters in. It's like the little tagline, Answer the Call. But at the end of the film, it says Ghostbusters Answer the Call. So I've got the first question. Obviously, is which one do you prefer?
I think now, I don't know. I mean, I rewatched Ghostbusters 2 last night because I've not long rewatched the 2016 one anyway. Like I think I watched it like last week. But Ghostbusters 2 I haven't seen for, I would say, about 15 years, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with it. Like, because I know it's you really don't like it, do you? So
I don't like
I was
it.
sort of going in with that in mind, and I was quite pleasantly surprised. Like, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be again. You know, because a bit of backstory for me as well, like, is that this is the first Ghostbusters film I watched. I didn't watch the first one first, so when I went to watch the first one, I was surprised by how adult it actually is, like with the swearing and they smoke, and I think they toned it down for this one because of the animated series, didn't they? Was popular,
Yeah, it came
so
out in
there's
'86, wasn't it?
yeah, and I know they all look different, don't they, in that as well, but I think they sort of modelled going back to family audiences, didn't they? After and in the retrospect, after you've seen the first one, it does sort of suffer because that humour that they have that is quite adult is what makes it work, I think.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you. And for me, I mean, I like 2016. I went into. I've got to be honest. I do at this point do prefer the 2016 one, as you know. But then again, I'm gonna be completely honest here and say I went into this film wanting to like this film because everybody else was slagging it off before the film even came out. As soon as it was like Paul Feige's Ghostbusters, it was like everybody was hating on it and giving the cast nothing but grief. So I went into it thinking I'm going to be objective and I'm hopefully it's going to be good. And to me, as a movie, I mean, it is essentially when we're watching it, I'm thinking it's following all the beats of the original, and I do love the color palette in Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I really noticed was done fantastically. Like even the ghost, the ILM did them, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they even look like the ghosts in that world have a specific look, don't they? They
Yeah.
don't look like sheets over their head. They almost look animated, and I love that about Ghostbusters. That even today, like you watch the first one and the second one, still has good special effects.
Except for the bath scene.
Yeah, except for the bat scene.
The
Yeah.
rubber bath scene, as I call it.
But the ghosts look they look part of that world, and that's what I really liked about 2016. I agree with you about going in as well. Like for me, I was scared going in because of all the it's all women, it's not them three. Why would you even bother? And that I must admit that put me off watching it for a while, which is why I hate these sort of people. And then it wasn't until you recommended it, and I thought, well, Steve's recommended it, so there must be some merit. And then I actually, it's probably one of the most, the films where you're really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
It was one of those. Like it was entertaining, and that's all we want at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it had its problems, which we'll discuss, but it wasn't unwatchable or anything like that.
I mean, everybody, I've spoke to people and so I switched it off, and I'm like thinking, I didn't like 50 Shades of Grey. Didn't switch off till the end of the film because you never know. Me and my fiance, we have a rule. If we both agree within 15 minutes that we don't like the film, then we'll switch it off. But I would never ever go and say, "Oh, that film sucked." Well, did you watch it all? Yeah, I only watched 15 minutes. It didn't appeal to me. So I will not
Yeah.
slag off a film until I've watched it. I watched all the Twilight films, yeah, all of them. I can't remember them, other than the fact that okay, here's my. Okay, I'm going to do my little one aside. But the Twilight movies, it was the secondary characters good. The two leads I thought were just perverts. But
Awful, yeah.
yeah, and I didn't. I could not really. I don't think. How can you relate to these characters that were creepy when the background characters were better? The family characters had more morals, and
Yeah.
that's why I don't.
Do you know, the only thing I remember about Twilight is Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen's great in everything. He is. I love Michael Sheen. Here's box office. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters raked in, if you were talking about the original, $296 million. This is at the world box office. Ghostbusters 2 was 215, while the 2016 raked in 229. Yeah, this is all in millions of dollars. So, they still, so even 2016 is underperformed compared to the original 84.
Yeah.
But here's the thing where it gets interesting, because if you look at 1989, I mean, I was going to say now, in '89, when Ghostbusters 2 came out, I was well into my real Ghostbusters. I was well into Ghostbusters, but that year, I mean, again, this is a world box office gross from 1989. Ghostbusters raked in, of course, like I said, 215 million because of Ghostbusters 2. Batman, 411, this is over 411 million. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 474. Back to the Future Part 2, 335. So of the four big ones, Batman, Indy, Back to the Future and Ghostbusters raked in the least, whereas Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was the big one.
Yeah.
So and Indy took over double what Ghostbusters 2 did. But
it's interesting you mentioned Batman, actually, because one of the things Ivan Reitman said about why Ghostbusters 2 maybe didn't do so well is because I'm assuming Batman came out first, or it wouldn't have happened. People were starting to people dubbed the whole Tim Burton dark children's property thing more. And he said maybe that was a reason that going back to the comedic element, going back to being a family sort of film, rather than keeping that with the original adult elements of the first one, like the swearing and the smoking and that. He said that maybe that's why it didn't resonate so well, but I don't know. I mean, they always think of excuses, don't they? I love Ivan Reitman, but that sounded like bullshit to me.
It is, to me, I think it is. I mean, but I tell you one thing for me, I always thought the suffering point, this was in the UK at least, is that Ghostbusters 2 actually came out 31 years ago on the day of recording. It came out 1st of December 1989. In the USA, it was released on June the 16th. Now, November 24th, 1989 was Back to the Future, Part 2. So, Back 2 was literally still raking in the money. It was on its second week when Ghostbusters 2 came out. So that would have impacted on the box office. And to me back then, Back to the Future Part 2 was the superior one to Ghostbusters 2. It was.
Yeah.
And this was so, because I thought, it was like that year, 1989, was brilliant for films for me, with, like I said, those four alone. And, but it was, like you said, it was a children's film. It was, even though real Ghostbusters was popular and it was good. I mean, when the 2016 one, that came out, and I was like, I want a good Ghostbusters movie because they've been going for one for years, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to kiss its ass because I do not like the cameos, with the exception of Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
I thought all the cameos were forced. Sigourney Weaver's was the one that felt fluid, but the Bill
I like
one.
Ernie Hudson one as well. That was kind of he was just when that girl mentioned her dad the
Uncle
funeral. I thought it's going to be Ernie Hudson, isn't it?
Yeah, he was good because he was. He's one that doesn't like. It's like the Annie Potts one was the "What do you want?" like she says in the original Ghostbusters, and Dan Aykroyd is a cab driver, and he's basically quoting himself from Ghostbusters. You got the bust in the college of Harold Ramis. May he rest in peace.
I like that.
Yeah, that was good.
Like, it's there if you notice it, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, it's not intrusively cameo.
But I like the Sigourney Weaver one because she felt like she was
Yeah.
playing a part. But the Bill Murray one, I thought was, well, if you can do that, why couldn't you at least get together with the rest of them to do a real Ghostbusters 3?
Yeah, it was awful, wasn't it? It was almost like he was taking the piss out of it as well, like, in a way. Because he's a skeptic, isn't he? Like a ghost skeptic.
Yeah.
And you just think, like, yeah, like you say, just get off your ass and do a third one.
Yeah, and
Which, of course, they are now.
Yeah. With Afterlife, directed by Jason Reitman, Reitman's son.
Who was in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
The one that said, my dad thinks you're full of crap.
Yeah. He's credited as Brownstone Boy 1. Now, you know who plays the mother?
No.
Mary Ellen Trainor.
Oh, yeah, when she's bringing them to the building. Yeah, I thought you meant the one that says, Jason, that's rude.
Yeah.
I remember you now.
A lethal weapon there, and she's got a little bit. She's one of the newscasters on Back to the Future. That lethal weapon.
She also has her fellow Die Hard actor is in the first one, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Walter Peck.
Oh yeah, he was in Die Hard the other week. Dickless. He still gets called that.
What do you think about, like, because obviously Bill Murray's a bit of a touchy subject, isn't he, with, like, productions in general. Do you think the chemistry's still pretty good in Ghostbusters 2, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they're good. It's just that, like you said, you hear it. It was more of a children's film, and to me, there's certain elements of the film that really made no sense. I mean, the subway tunnel bit, where they go down and they've got those heads on. You see all those heads and everything. That bit was good.
Yeah.
That was scary, but a lot of the rest of it, especially the ooze or the slime, the pink stuff, wasn't scary to me. It was just
the Vigo thing does not make any sense.
You Vigo!
Why does he have to inhabit a baby? Like, why can't he just possess a fully grown person? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I do like Peter McNichol in that, though. He's quite funny, isn't he?
He's good, but I did not like the joke with his accent. That when he goes, "Where are you from? From the lower west, or was it lower or upper west side?" I thought that was oh god, we're doing that joke again.
Yeah, like you clearly know what he's asking, don't you? Like,
yeah.
There's a funny line though later on where he says, like, soon this city will be mine and Vigo's, mainly Vigo. I did quite like.
It is quotable though. It's very quotable.
Yeah. Did you know that Max von Sydow's voice as well?
No.
That voice. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it like the guy that played him. Here's another Die Hard reference. That guy that plays Vigo is in Die Hard. He's one of the terrorists.
No way.
Yeah, that's another Die Hard reference. When he was watching the premiere and realised he'd been dubbed, a la David Prowse, he stormed out apparently.
Ooh.
And they'd actually had Max von Sydow come in for a day just to record the dialogue.
Max von Sydow does have a good voice. He's James in Die Hard.
Yeah, you only see him a couple of times. He's got a big ponytail, like every German on holiday does.
What's wrong with having a ponytail?
Nothing.
Ponytail, cool, especially in that period of time. You got to remember, everybody had a ponytail in the 80s. At least
they did.
Some people just
especially Seagal.
Yeah. He was the reason I had my first ponytail.
Here's a question: Which Ghostbusters has the better plot? Do you think the 2016 or Ghostbusters 2?
2016.
Yeah, see, I think Ghostbusters 2 had like the makings of a good plot. Like Vigo could have been a great villain because he basically sounded like Vlad the Impaler, didn't he? Like Dracula from that same sort of area. And it was good. It was interesting doing like a villain who had been human and is now a ghost, rather than what's his name? Is it Zul? No.
Zul. Yeah, Zul, because the Gozerian.
Gozer, that's it. Yeah, with like a god, wasn't he? So it would have been nice to just see like a normal ghost this time, because they are Ghostbusters at the end of the
But
day.
then again, Rowan North was human that kills himself in the 2016. The one that
Oh
performed
yeah,
with Chris Hemsworth. But, I mean, I said it's pacing wise, beat for beat, it is Ghostbusters, the 2016. It's, you got the scary start and everything. It follows the 84 Ghostbusters. But Ghostbusters 2, when I was watching it, it's a morality tale. It's telling you to be
yeah,
nice to each other and to save the day. Because at the end, that's what saves the day, is everybody's being good and coming together, giving out positive energy. Very hippie.
yeah.
It is very
The,
zen.
that was something Ivan Reitman said that did make sense, where he said the idea for that came from the fact that in the late 80s, sort of, and New York and LA were the two big sort of crime-ridden cities in America, and he felt like that New York, especially, like just it just had a bad vibe to be around in that time. And I like that idea that the slime can kind of affect your mood, or you can affect it. Like your negative brings the ghosts out. I quite like that, but they didn't really develop it that much.
No, they aimed it at, if they hadn't so ham-handedly done it to aim it at the children's market. I mean, you do, if you are surrounded by people that are full of negative energy. I mean, I do believe in this sort of thing. So, that if you go to someone that is full of that kind of energy, it will rub off on you, and it will
Yeah,
make it. So you just need people to be more positive. Because if you're surrounded by a positive person, it makes you feel better. And using that as a
yeah,
manifestation in for the ghosts and everything with the slime, which you've used, could argue that because Dan Aykroyd's big into his spiritualism and everything, and ghosts and everything, that people leave imprints on where they are.
like
Then
The Shining.
yeah, then it works in that sense. Some places do have that energy, and if the energy manifests in the ooze, or whatever you want to call it, the slime. But every time for me, the letdown was every time I saw the slime or the ooze, all I could see is that they've got, you don't want to know how they do the effects, but you could just see, like, when it's bubbling, they've probably got little things underneath the table, or with the bathtub, which I fucking hated. To me, when it comes to special effects, and I'm going to do my one Star Wars reference now, the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, and the bathtub in Back to the Future Part 2, not Back to the Future, so Ghostbusters Part 2, I'll get it right, Ghostbusters Part 2, to me rank as even bad special effects at the time. And when you're thinking that in that time period, it is it's not good, and it kind of takes you out of the film. And they still, even to this day, there's a bit where Janos is grabbing the child,
Yeah,
and he stretches his arm out. He does, and it looks like Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four, but he
yeah.
still can't pull that off to this day.
It does look weird.
Yeah, it didn't work for me at all.
One effect I did like on him was the the beams on his eyes when he's looking around the corridor. That was actually quite creepy.
Yeah, that would have been practical.
Yeah,
That worked. Another,
and another beat they missed was like Ray being possessed by the paint, and it doesn't really, nothing really happens, does it? Like, I mean, if he'd been possessed for like maybe a considerable portion of the film, and they're kind of like, well, why Ray seems really different? What's the matter with him? Then I think that would have been quite cool, because we don't really see, even in the first one, none of them really get sort of taken over by a ghost or anything, do they? They just get slimed or knocked over or whatever. But or when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. But it doesn't really go anywhere. He just sort of like looks a bit funny at the camera, doesn't he? And I did read apparently there's a deleted scene. There's a part of it left in the film in the montage sequence when they come back. Bill Murray looks at Howard Ramis a little bit weird, and apparently it was Ray was possessed in that scene, and he ran a red light, and it was him sort of going, well, "What's the matter with Ray?" And it looks a bit funny now because there's no context to why he looks like that.
yeah. No doubt when they do the next anniversary, we'll get all the other deleted scenes.
Yeah,
it would be interesting to see an alternative cut of these films.
Yeah, they've just done that with Godfather 3, haven't they?
Yeah.
No reason they can't try it with other films.
Yeah, especially ones with Trouble Productions.
Yeah.
But I don't think I know we seem to be focusing on Ghostbusters 2, but I just want to point out that I never liked the Statue of Liberty walking. It made no sense to me. How does it get off the plinth for start?
I liked it when I was a kid. And obviously because they use a Nintendo controller as well
Yeah.
to control it. But and the soundtrack's pretty good at that point when it is higher. But yeah, I know what you mean though. Like, yeah, it's a bit sort of when I saw it last night again, I was going cheesy actually.
There's two montages. You said about the soundtrack. Okay, that might work, but the other songs. I mean, Ghostbusters is the music in Ghostbusters. We say Ghostbusters, '84 Ghostbusters, is so '80s, but it's got a brilliant soundtrack.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters in '89 has got more of a rap thing. There's two montages.
Yeah, it's Bobby Brown, isn't it? I don't like the fact that they didn't use the original theme until the end.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is that constantly playing on Our Own by Bobby Brown, which was good at the time because he was like a music video with Ghostbusters in it, yay! But now it was a case of this is a pilot. It is. Let's see, when anytime you see the Ghostbusters get ready and they got like it would work better like they did in the original. That's my bad interpretation of the song. Was it Saving the Day? That worked when they did it just before they were about to take on Gozer. That was brilliant. Or the Ghostbusters theme when that kicks in.
Yeah.
Because I think Saving the Day was a brilliant song when they're doing it, and it gets you all pumped up. Whereas On Our Own doesn't, and the rap songs and shit.
I mean, he's even in the film, isn't he?
Bobby Brown is at the doorman asking.
Yeah, it just seemed like a bit sort of self-aggrandizing, ass-kissing, to be honest. But like, I mean, yeah, like there's so many perfect moments, like the bit after the courtroom scene, which I actually really do like.
Yeah.
The Scoleri brothers. When they're sort of like Bill Murray says his thing about them being back and that, that would have been a perfect point to kick the theme in, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't go with at all the music.
I know one thing that I didn't realise, and I remember we're talking 31 years ago since this came out. But at one point, I must have watched that film a lot because I can still retain.
Oh, I did.
I've retained so much dialogue from that film. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I mean, that's one thing that Ghostbusters 2 has over the 2016 is the dialogue is so memorable. I mean, my fiance pointed something out, and this is something I use all the time. It's, how's school?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that's where you got that from until I saw it last night again.
Yeah, I was like, because I said it to you as well, and it's just, there's certain things that from that. I mean, I didn't. Some people some butt headline that I've used quite a bit, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But like, and I watched them again a few years ago. It's like, oh, that's where I stole that from. But you pick things up for years, and it becomes part of ingrained into who you are. So
yeah.
You're just like, I was like, damn, because I always do. So I'm not going to knock the script. I mean, some of the script is there. The fact that I'm still quoting it and still remember it all after 31 years. It's.
Yeah, I mean, it was still Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd that wrote it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they know the character better than anyone. So I mean, yeah, I know what you mean though. Like, I think with the 2016 one, because Paul Feig's type of comedy is quite quick fire. So I mean, if you've seen films like The Heat or Bridesmaids or things like that, it's that sort of humor. And me and my fiance, like The Heat is one of our favourite films as a couple, and we can literally quote that film word for word. But a lot of the time, his films aren't quotable; they're just funny. Like, you don't remember, you sort of say what happens in the scene, but you can't remember exactly what they say. And I think that's the same with Ghostbusters as well, isn't it? Although there was a line I did notice that didn't make sense until I watched 2 again last night, where she says, "There's no such thing as floating books and babies."
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, the baby is obviously Oscar, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's, I oh one thing that really, and I didn't realize it until like we were watching. You know, Kurt Fuller's character, Hard Hardemeyer. I thought he was a piss poor version of Walter Peck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought he
I,
didn't have the
I I've
charisma.
always thought like even the guy that does it in this Ghostbusters too, he's been in quite a lot as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
The mayor's assistant,
yeah,
but he's never as good as Walter Peck's like the original asshole, and he's
yeah.
like bureaucratic asshole.
And he's good in and he's William Atherton's good in, like we said, he's the one in, yeah, in Die Hard. And I just thought Kurt Fuller's an late '80s actor that was in a lot of stuff, and it's just a lot of stuff that's not memorable.
Yeah,
If I'm right, I think he's in Elvira, isn't he?
I don't know. I've never seen.
I'm sure I saw him in Elvira recently.
Wasn't isn't Andy Garcia the mayor as well
He's in the
in the
Mayor in
2000s?
2016. Yeah, he's not as good. He wasn't as good as the original one in
I like the mayor original. He's quite funny, I think.
David Margulies.
He's like a sort of cheerier, like silly version of Larry from Jaws, isn't he?
Yeah,
The mayor and that.
yeah. He's Cheech Marine. I got to give a shout out to Cheech Marine. The
Yeah, the
Titanic
Titanic scene.
scene. I did like that. I thought that was. I think that the 2016 one. I think what let it down was the cameos. You got an Ozzy Osbourne one.
Yeah, it's
So
just weird. Isn't it? Like, they don't feel like they've been naturally put in there. They literally feel like they just rang around a load of people and said, "Do you want a cameo?"
yeah, and
You know, when you watch cameos and other things, and they're sort of carefully placed
yeah,
to elicit an emotion, which is what they're for, isn't it? They're like a sort of little. They're a bit of candy for fans.
yeah. These ones in this one it was you should not take yourself out of the film to
No.
actually and that's what it did with that one, especially the Bill Murray one. It took me. I mean, it was not the fact that he was in Ghostbusters. It was more to do with the fact that I thought it was a it's not even a cameo. It was more of a small part. People have got
Yeah.
Oscars. I think Judi Dench's got Oscars for doing less work than what he did in that film.
Yeah. And well, Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting
And
if was to do count the screen time up for it. It was
yeah, there's a role in the film called Network. Oh, you've seen it, haven't you?
yeah
Yeah, it was someone's wife. That she was the woman that won Best Actress Oscar or Best Supporting Actress with the shortest screen time. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes.
Jesus
And you think like, wow, they must have been good, like to
yeah
squeeze that into 4 minutes. Here's Bill Murray saying that ghosts don't exist.
yeah and with him on the TV as well, and it just yeah
It's weird though, because in Zombieland and Zombieland 2, he's absolutely hilarious.
he's brilliant.
Isn't he? Like when he's sort of taking a piss out of Garfield and
Yeah.
like Day Zero. It's just like that's Bill. That's what of Bill Murray I want to. I want to see Peter Venkman like that again.
Yeah. And I totally agree. I mean, if you look at his outlay, I mean, the likes of Stripes. I mean, I'm not a fan of Groundhog Day, but Caddyshack.
I like Stripes though. I really do like Stripes.
Yeah, it goes on to think about boobs. You always say you've seen boobs for the first time in Trading Places.
Yeah, yeah,
To me, it would have been like it's either Trading Places or Stripes because just it's a lot of stuff. I mean, that was a brilliant film, and that's Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Ivan Reitman, is it? Director.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean with Chris Hemsworth.
yeah. I really liked Chris Hemsworth in this. I thought I was going to hate him in it because I thought like I was buying into all that sort of it's feminist bullshit. Like they're just making a man the stupid receptionist at the time, but it was really funny and sort of fresh. Like because if you'd just done it again, it would have just been Janine again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There's no point. Whereas he is like he's really funny, and I think that's where the answer the call thing comes from, isn't it? Because he keeps leaving the phones ringing.
And his glasses where he doesn't have lenses in, so that they don't get steamed
Yeah.
up. And he's which one do you prefer? Me playing saxophone or me listening to saxophone? Things like that. He's actually
Yeah,
he's got some of the good lines, and it's just I thought he was he was superb again. But Kevin, okay, that's his character's name. Sorry, Rowan North, the villain, he is as weak as Vigo. Sorry.
yeah, he was like a sort of cut out villain, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I tell you who I did like. Uh, I did like Leslie Jones, Patty Tolan. I liked how
Yeah.
she is, whereas Winston Z's read that his performance was cut down in Ghostbusters because they give a lot of the good dialogue to the others. But
Yeah.
whereas you've got Patty in this, who's the authority. She's the grounding person. How she knows
Yeah.
all of. She's the streetwise one over these. Scientist types that really should not be allowed out on their own because they will do damage. And she was the
Socially
one.
awkward and that.
Pardon?
They're all like socially inept, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like these super intelligent physicists.
And she's the grounding, and I love their interplay with the guy that's doing the graffiti on the walls and
Yeah.
everything. I thought she was, but she was the one that took a lot of the crap.
Yeah, I know. I think like Winston, she's the audience entry point, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like, she's like the normal person. Like you say, she knows all about the subway and like the streets and that, and like that's a normal person watching that, isn't it? Like if you lived in New York, you would know a lot of it, and yeah, I agree with you as well about I like how they pick the logo. I think that's quite like
Yeah.
funny, like the way that they're just sort of going, oh, that's pretty cool. Shall we use that?
Yeah.
And like the ones that Chris Hemsworth comes up before are all rubbish, aren't they?
Yeah. The hot dog and the house.
Yeah.
It's a floating hot dog. And the 7-Eleven sign.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. I mean, I gotta admit, I did less notes on this Ghostbusters on 2016 than I did on Ghostbusters 2 because I was enjoying the movie. I really was
Yeah.
sitting there and it was.
And that's the thing, like you need to just ignore all the stuff people say and decide where if you don't like it, that's fine, but you have to decide for yourself whether you like it or not. And that's what sadly that influenced me not to watch it for so long. And when I finally did watch it, I was thinking, well, I wish I'd gone to see this in the cinema now.
I did that with Birds of Prey recently.
Yeah,
You
do let it get to you though, don't you? Sometimes what people say.
And but the big one for me, I'm just gonna go a little bit off subject again and just say Solo. It's the same thing, but and I think that personally, I mean, for me, I like the trailer to Ghostbusters. I wasn't a fan of the trailer for Birds of Prey, but the Ghostbusters trailer and the Solo trailer to me made me want to get into the cinema and buy that ticket. So if the trailer's cut right, then I mean that's what one. I mean, a little story when we went on a holiday in 2016. We bought a couple of soundtracks for the car, and one of them, and two of them that we actually bought were the two Ghostbusters soundtracks, Ghostbusters original and 2016. And I do like the DeBarge song on it, and I love that little bit where Kate McKinnon's character is dancing. Gillian Holtzman, and she's the nut job one, and she's and I really would have loved to seen her a film another Ghostbusters in this timeline with her and her mentor Sigourney Weaver, because I thought that little bit of time they had on screen together,
I thought it was really well cast actually, because I absolutely adore Melissa McCarthy as well, and I think like she plays a really good part in this as well. Like she sort of plays herself in a lot of things, but in the same sort of really good way that Jack Nicholson does. Like that you almost don't notice. And like I thought the dynamic between them all was really good. What I'd love to see is a crossover.
Yeah.
Like with the three other guys. Oh, well, the two other guys now, but that would be fantastic.
We've still got three of the originals left.
We have, yeah. Oh yeah, three. Yeah, sorry, yeah. There's four, isn't it, in the
Yeah.
original
I mean,
as well?
you got Kristen Wiig, who's in from Right. She's in Paul with
She is, yeah.
Sigourney Weaver. I mean, I've got to admit, with the exception of actually none of them. Yeah, with the exception of Chris Hemsworth going into Ghostbusters, none of them were on my radar. And coming out of it, I mean, I've never really watched Melissa McCarthy movies, and
You want to? She's the Heat is fantastic. Like, if you like action films, it's such a send up of like the buddy cop thing done with two women instead, and it's really good. Like, it's fantastic.
I will check it out because I do. I mean, I just want to point out, is because anytime you say something like that, and people might think, oh, it's because she's big. It's got nothing to do with her size, to be honest.
No, not at all. You don't notice it.
No, and people who, and who, people who do go on the whole shaming people because of their size can go and basically, yeah, I have
Fuck themselves.
I have real issue. I do have real issues with people who do that, and that's one of my Achilles' heel is that if I come across people that, as they say, fat shame, that's kind of like a red word with me because I can really lose my shit over that kind of crap. Because at the end of the day, because I don't like how people who unless it's like the whole Margot Robbie thing. A lot of people, as soon as they find out that Margot Robbie's going to be wearing not next to nothing, their eyes will pop out will pop out their heads. When someone like me will go, well, Margot Robbie's great in something like Bombshell where she keeps her clothes on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Just like Sharon Stone's good in films where she keeps her clothes on.
Yeah, but a lot of the quote unquote virgins out there and the basement dwellers, the ones that slave the film before it comes out, won't go and see it unless they women that are going to be basically they're going to be turned on in the cinema. Let's be honest. It's like I think Kristen Wiig is good in as well. Dowdy in it, which is good.
I like her. Yeah, she's good at playing that sort of.
Yeah.
Say the dowdy sort of character, isn't she? Like.
So it's but to me, like I said, but I took over all the things that came out of that film. I really took issue with all the shit that Leslie Jones took. I really wound me up at the time. It did. I'm not one of these keyboard warriors that go on the internet or anything like that because at the end of the day, you're just adding fuel to them. If people who the thing is, and one thing that I find is that with people that slate things, if you comment and disagree with what they're saying, they're just going to make it even more. It's going to give them more power because people are paying attention to them. So these people that, if the quote unquote real fans just ignored the shit that people are spewing, then it's, to quote the dude, it's just your opinion, man.
Yeah.
And then just if you come on the night to say just fuck off. To be honest with you, it's yeah. If you put more positive energy out there, it would be yeah. I like that in the tunnel. The ghost that was electrocuted. That was a bit of a callback to Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, it was actually. I forgot about the courtroom scene actually before I watched Ghostbusters 2 again, and it is actually really well done, isn't it, with the two brothers?
Which was supposed to be like the whole look of them inspired by Jake and Elwood.
Yeah.
Which I tell you, I didn't. Which would just go back to Slimer. I thought it was interesting having Slimer in both of them. I thought the puppet, the costume puppet, whatever it was in Ghostbusters 2, was terrible. I preferred the one from the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and he looks. He's got like a girlfriend in the 2016 one, hasn't he?
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. I like Slime. Slimer's like the sort of constant ghost, isn't he? That's in all of them, but like he's a bit like Boba Fett, really, isn't he? Like everyone remembers him, but he's not really in them that much.
But Ghostbusters, real Ghostbusters TV series is what brought it into the attention why they had to throw him in because everybody was going to Slimer. Which goes back to Ghostbusters 2. One of the kids, because Oscar was played by two kids, or two babies.
Yeah, one of them committed suicide.
Suicide by hanging. Henry J. Deutschendorf II. Suicide by hanging in 2017. Just such a shame.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was two different people playing him actually.
Yeah, it's because at that time they're allowed to have on set, isn't it, for working,
Yeah,
especially when they're babies and kids. So, but yeah, it's kind of weird, if you go from Ghostbusters 2 to 2016, it's Annie Potts, seeing Annie Potts age. Or,
yeah,
I mean, Sigourney Weaver really hasn't aged that, much. But seeing a really young Annie Potts and then seeing her, that's weird.
yeah. Because like you say, Sigourney Weaver's looks sort of great for her age, I think.
Yeah,
And yeah, I forgot about her cameo. Actually, I forgot she was in it. Do you know the only person I've realised isn't in is a Bubba? Sorry, I said is about 5,000 times. The only person I've realised that isn't in 2016 is Rick Moranis.
yeah, retired.
Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah.
he's retired. And I don't think he's down for Afterlife either. Let's have a look. He retired, and they couldn't get him back out. I mean, it's produced by the original. Isn't Harold? Didn't Ivan Reitman and Dan Aykroyd produce? Uh, Ghostbusters 2016. Let's have
Yeah.
a look. I'm just going. I'm on the Afterlife now, just seeing if there's a. There's a I can't actually see, so yeah. I gotta give Rick Moranis full credit, for actually staying retired. But I was never.
Yeah.
So you first.
No, no, it's okay. Sorry. No, I was just going to agree.
I've never. Sigourney Weaver, was never one of those hot ones I thought was hot. But I
No,
had a
but
thing for Annie
there's something
Potts.
about her, wasn't there?
Yeah, I had a thing for Annie Potts. So it was kind of weird. You're going on look. I don't want to age shame or shame Annie Potts, but I remember watching Dangerous Minds, the TV series in the '95 time, and thinking she was a stunner. So it's kind of weird seeing her in young Sheldon, and being old. It's like when did that happen? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You forget because I was young, when they came out, but just to actually, it's kind of weird, seeing these people that from when you were a kid getting older now. It's yeah, but yeah. So, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a chemistry amongst the 2016 uh, cast, just as like there is in the original
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2. So, uh,
And they're all still they're they're all still Saturday Night Live alumni as well. So that whole vibe with the jokes and that seems quite similar to me. To be honest, they're just female versions of
yeah,
the other guys.
even the female secretary to the not secretary assistant.
Oh, to the mayor. Yeah, yeah,
She's Saturday Night Live. I didn't realize that until I was wondering who she was. I was like, ah. So it's. But then again, the whole idea of opening up to improv is
yeah,
actually, you need it. You need people that can actually do that. Especially in that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Afterlife, which we should have had already if it hadn't been for 2020. So I should put it that way.
yeah.
So yeah, you know, I gotta admit, Eliza, I've watched already. I watched. It's kind of funny. Ghostbusters 2 was one of the first films I actually watched in 2020. So
All right.
actually, so far this year I've watched that film twice now, and like I said, it's just it's good when you're a kid, but when you get older, it's not so good. I mean, Ghostbusters is still a classic, and we will probably do a commentary track on that one. I think that deserves it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So when it's all correct. So it's not a bad film. Like we said, better dialogue in two. But I really think we've said all you can say. I mean, which one do you prefer now?
Um, I don't know actually. Probably go with probably the 2016 actually. A little bit edges it out, just because it, like you say, the vibe of the original is 100% there, and it feels like part of that world still. And like I've always been one that actually didn't mind the second one. It's like, which gave it an interesting contrast with both of us, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, and rewatching it again, I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. But I think the new ones, or the newer ones, still sort of edges it out by maybe a point or two. But yeah, no, I mean, it's. I don't know why everyone got so het up over the new one, to be honest.
Because it was feminist agenda.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
so be
just
me.
in case anybody's taking that seriously, I always find with podcasts and with anything now, you've got to be careful what you say. I do not believe it's a feminist agenda. I just say that because that's just quoting everybody else of the feminist agenda. Because anytime anything is all female, or it's got a female lead like Ray, feminist agenda.
Yeah, or Wonder Woman.
Yep, feminist agenda. Even though Ripley from Aliens, Princess Leia, they never said feminist agenda, and that's the 1970s. You give me
Sarah Connor.
Pardon?
Sarah Connor.
Yeah, Sarah Connor. That's three. You name three from that period of time. They never go, oh, that's a feminist agenda. You got the female leads. They didn't do it, but nowadays, anytime that a community doesn't like something, they can just spew that kind of crap. Sorry, my rant over.
But like you say though, the 80s and the 70s, there was loads. Well, end of the 70s mainly, but I mean, even just little parts like Lewis in RoboCop.
Yeah.
You know, that's a strong female, isn't it? And there's loads you can actually think of when you actually sit down and think about it.
But I suppose if you think about it too long, then you might actually get all these people like it going, oh, I can't watch that now. Feminist agenda.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some people there's some people in the geek community, all they want is the females just to be there to be seen, look pretty, and nothing else. They don't like it. Because I think they're all afraid that if a woman learns how to kick ass, then they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I learned my lesson the hard way. Be very careful what you say around certain women, or you can get your ass kicked.
Yeah, definitely.
Or if you prefer it, get a woman that can kick your ass, because at least that way, if you ever get into trouble, you've got a woman that can kick your ass.
She's got some character as well, then, at least.
Pardon?
She's got some character, then, at least, as well.
Yep. Strong women. I go for strong women, but I blame that down. I put that on Princess Leia, by the way, Carrie Fisher. Where's she? Yeah. So, I gotta go with you. Ghostbusters. I grew up with Ghostbusters, so I think that the original is still a classic, and I completely agree with everything you said about it being more aimed at children. And as you get older, I really have gone completely off of Ghostbusters 2. So the 2016 one completely. So yeah. So I've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed watching the films again.
It was nice, sort of like, because like I say, I hadn't watched it in about 10, 15 years. So it was nice watching it with that sort of freshness in mind again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had fun as well, yeah. It's good.
So this has been Franchise Wars, Ghostbusters 2 versus Ghostbusters 2016. I'm Stevie W.
And Callum.